All right. Good morning, everyone. Brad Roltgen here with the Fresno Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Investors Group. Today, we are talking about using trading bots to hopefully earn a little bit of money every day, especially if we get a lot of volatility, we can earn a lot a day. If not a lot of volatility, maybe not as much, but it's always good to have them working for us. It's been a couple years since we talked about this subject. I did put some links to our previous meeting, which was 2 years ago. I didn't realize it had been 2 years since we talked about this. Um, but that is the case. So we're going to kind of check in and see if there's been any updates. Hopefully, I don't know if Chris is going to be able to join us. He was going to demo one of these previously, and we didn't, kind of ran out of time. So we'll see how far we get. So first of all, none of this is financial advice. We're just kind of learning from each other. Um, Everybody has to make their own financial and investing decisions as far as that goes. But this is kind of one area that you may want to look at. It, they go from kind of beginner, just simple things to more advanced things where you can, there's ones where you literally just turn them on and let them go. You pick the coin pair, like Bitcoin versus Solana or something like that, and then you just let it go. There's other ones you can tweak and put in adjustments and all kinds of parameters that are, if you're a trader, have experience, in that space, you might want to tweak yours a little bit, but there's kind of the whole gamut of what you can do. There's also options to what they call copy trade, which is where you basically duplicate somebody else, a live human that's trading. You can look at their history and then um, basically just copy what they're doing, and you don't have to do it. You're not sitting there 24/7, but these bots um, do it for you as far as trading, and they just follow what that other trader does, and hopefully you make some little extra money. So first of all, let's see. I don't think anybody would just Amity just joined us. Give us a little update where you are on your crypto journey. Have you done anything with crypto bots in the past? I don't know if you're a space, you can unmute. Okay, got you in chat. Okay, thanks. Just wanted to check in. Um, okay, so what we're talking about here are basically, you know, a bot or an automated system that connects to your exchange account. So we're not worrying about sending our funds to somebody, hopefully hoping that they're legit and that kind of thing. And that will, you make money and you send it back kind of thing. All your funds stay in your own exchange account, whether that's Coinbase, Kraken, Binance.us, whatever. And so these bots connect to your account using an API. I don't know if you've seen references to APIs. It's usually under settings or profile, that kind of thing. And you set up an API and plug that information from your exchange into these bots. And then that allows the bot to trade for you to buy and sell at different times. But it doesn't allow the bot to withdraw any funds, transfer any funds, that kind of thing. It's basically like a little robot sitting on your shoulder buying and selling all day, but the funds never leave your control or your wallet. If you want to, if you think the whole thing went crazy or, wacky, you could go in and just delete the API key and then the bot couldn't trade, for you anymore. Or you can go into the bot system itself and turn them off or delete them or put them on pause, that kind of thing. So what I want to do is start off with an easy one just to make it easy for all of us to kind of get the idea of what we're doing. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay? Let me
Yeah.
see. Yes, okay, great, thank you. Now I'm trying to
Yes.
figure out where my chat went. Uh, Michael, if you'll keep an eye on the chat for me, if something comes up, just let me know. That would be great. Um, okay,
You
so
bet.
I did put this link into chat. I'll do it again, just in case for some people that just joined us. This is a link to this quick little link tree page that has links to all of everything we do for our group. So we got a link to the meetup group, upcoming meetings, our Telegram group, previous meetings are recorded. This goes to a YouTube channel. So you can go back and see what we talked about a couple years ago on bots and the year before that, and then all kinds of other topics, and then other things, from there. All right, so this first one we're going to talk about is called EazyBot, and that's kind of what the name implies. Is it's very easy. You're not expected to um, do any, complicated parameter setups or that kind of thing. And so I'm going to go to the bots page. I'm using their you can see here the free subscription level, which lets you use 2 bots, which each one of these boxes is a different bot. Although the second one, for some reason, it seems to only be letting me do 1. I'm not sure. I set up these new bots a couple days ago. I hadn't been using them for a little bit. Sometimes I jump around, with the shiny object syndrome when there's something else going on. Then I move funds to there and then wait, I don't have funds to trade here or whatever. So, but I did set this up. I can see down here the runtime was 1 day, 13 hours ago. So basically Thursday night. So I set it up to trade between Solana and Bitcoin. And so how you start is you have to fund your account with a Bitcoin, and then when you start the bot, it buys one little piece of Solana. And then as the price changes, it either will sell that little piece or buy another piece. And if the price keeps going down, it'll keep buying, more because it's a better price. And then as it comes up, then it trades, that kind of thing. It's a little hard to deal with because these numbers are in terms of Bitcoin. So at the time, the 0.04, which was the minimum that you can start with, was about $3,000. Now, the interesting part is that's what you need to fully let this bot do its thing, but you can actually start with less than that amount of money. You kind of just tricking it to get started. I only had $265 in Bitcoin when I started it. But then at a certain point, it'll run out of Bitcoin because I don't have the minimum that it's working with. So let me show you what it did. So I'm just going to click on this here. Come on. All right. So here's my initial buy. Let's see. Where did it sell? So oh, oh, wait a minute. Back up here. When I started, for some reason, the APIs had disconnected. And so the first couple buys, it didn't work because it wasn't connected properly to the exchange. Let me show you in the exchange. It actually is a little bit simpler. So this is Kraken, and this is the pro view of Kraken. With Kraken, you don't have to pay any extra to use this pro, but this is kind of the screen that you see with the graph. So let me go to trade and closed orders. View closed orders. Okay. So we're going to ignore this limit one right here because that's where I had some Solana in my account that I sold. Wait a minute, I sold it for USDT, which was wrong. I wanted to sell it for Bitcoin so I had more funds to trade with. Looks like I did that wrong. Okay, anyway, we're going to ignore that one. So here is the first little chunk that it bought. So it bought this amount of Solana at this price in Bitcoin. And then so that was at on Thursday at 8:20, and then yesterday at just about 10 o'clock in the morning, it sold. Um, uh-oh, am I doing that? All right. It sold that amount at this price. And then it went back in and it bought another little chunk of Bitcoin, or I'm sorry, of Solana using my Bitcoin. Then it bought another little chunk because you can see the price was going down. So it bought some at, 145, then it bought more at 143, and then one at 142. So I basically have three positions that the bot purchased, and then it's waiting to sell those positions and make a profit. On this summary page, it shows how much profit I made. So this is the profit right here from just that one trade. And that's in terms of not in dollars, that would be like barely nothing, but it's in terms of how much Bitcoin. And so that's what that is. Right here, it's showing the markets, basically what I purchased or what the bot purchased for me, where it is compared to the market. So I'm actually down 1.83. So it's not going to sell. And this bot, or this system has like a 99.4% win rate. And so if it's, going down, it's not going to sell and put you at a loss type of thing. You may have to hold on, for a while till it goes back up, but it's not going to trade to put you in a loss. So that's good. But what it does do um, is, if the market goes down, say it goes down, let's just kind of use some round numbers. I'm doing something that's $100 and I bought it like 94 and 93 and 92. And I have those positions. Now, if it, really tanks and goes down to 80, it still has some funds left to buy. So it'll buy it, 82, 81, 80, this kind of thing. So it's not like it gets, there's been some bots that I've used in the past where if the price dropped too much, it would just stop and like it would just stop trading, or it used too much funds to um that it didn't have any more, powder to shoot kind of thing. So that's what's nice with this one is the market can really go crazy and it'll still keep trading for you because even if you're down a couple positions and it's down in like 80, 79, 78, 81, back and forth in kind of that type of range, you still want to be trading and not just like, oh no, I'm going to wait till it gets back to 100 before I start trading because that might be a couple weeks or, might be a couple minutes with crypto, who knows? But the point is that it keeps trading for you even when the market goes, freakishly down or that kind of thing. Michael, any questions so far on this one or anybody else?
No, just learning as usual. Wondering when I'm going to get in.
All right. Yeah, well, that's the nice thing with this one. Um, if you trade against USDT, which is kind of has been more popular for people to, they take their funds from a bank, they move to an exchange and say, okay, I'm going to trade my USD or dollars into USDT, which is a stable coin, and then I'll buy and sell Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever. Um, and it's easy to understand because it's in terms of dollars, where when we're talking numbers like this, 0.04 or 0.0037 or something, it's a little harder to grasp. But the reason that I was trading Solana and Bitcoin and then XRP and Bitcoin is those three coins are ones that I want to be holding for long term. In the past, I was trading against USDT, so I would set up the bot to trade Solana against USDT or XRP against USDT. And there's actually more volatility against the dollar than against the other coins because in general, the whole market goes up, Bitcoin goes up, Ethereum goes up, Solana goes up. And so you can actually make more money trading against USDT, against the stable coin. But if the market all of a sudden goes takes a big 7, 8% run up in a day or two, and you're sitting in USDT, then you missed out on that move because it was sitting there. But so if I'm holding these three coins at all times in these, that the bot's using, and it takes a 7% um, jump up, then I'm always going to be in one of those coins. Now, maybe Bitcoin went up 6%, Solana went up 9%, and XRP went up 7%, but I'm at least in all of those coins and not sitting on the sideline in USDT. Um, Sin, good question on my subscription allows two trading bots, and I think they've updated these subscriptions since I started. They've been around for 3 years. I got started with them 2 years ago, and so let me show you um, the different options here. Because for diversification purposes, you may want to trade, you know, 4 or 5 different coin pairs just so you can, be diversified a little more. So this is their options here. Let me give you the rundown. So they do have a 45-day free trial, so you can do it absolutely free. Um, as far as accessing, where they make their money is they make money on what they call the software service fee. So when you get a trade, like I said, 99% of them are, winning trades, then they take a little chunk of that. So when they talk about 0.4% is when you sell that position, if it was $100 position, then they would get 40 cents. And so I'm kind of like, hey, I'm fine with that. You help me win. If you help me win, and win, or not I could win, but earn, $5, and you want to take 40 cents, I'm cool with that because without them, I couldn't, have done it. So that's what they do for the free one. And you can trade two bots, which is like what I had, which is means two coin pairs. And the connections means how many exchanges you can be working with. So like on mine, both of my bots are trading against with my Kraken account. But you may want to have some funds in Coinbase and trade, two bots with those funds. And you may want to have two others in Kraken, and that would require two connections. So that's what that means. And so these are their standard packages. So for $100 for a year, it's basically the same deal as the free one, except you get to trade 5 bots with one exchange. Um, and yeah, pretty basic there. So that's got the 0.4% of the closing trade. Now, if you go up to this next one, then you're only paying zero point 0.3 of the trade. So they're earning a little bit less on each of your trades, but you can have up to 10 bots going and two connections, which means, two exchanges. And again, this is $250. So it kind of goes up. You pay less of a service fee each time. It goes down a little bit more. And then the number of bots, I mean, 50, even 20 bots, 25 bots, that's crazy. 150 bots on 7 exchanges. I mean, you're doing, serious, some serious trading. I think 10 would be plenty as far as diversifying. Even 5 is fine. Um, but anyway, those are their options, and
Brad.
that's how that works. Yeah.
When that
Right.
says bots, that means paid trading pairs, right?
Pairs, right,
Okay. I
right.
just want to be clear.
Yeah, no, no, appreciate that. So each bot does one trading pair. So if you wanted to trade Solana against Bitcoin, that would be one bot. If you wanted to trade Solana against USDT, that would be a second bot, and so on and so forth. Um, they don't support necessarily every um, coin that your exchange does. So I don't know how the number that Kraken exchange, how many coins and tokens are on Kraken, for example. They may support 400, but that doesn't mean that this EazyBot supports all of them. It may, but to me, when I went through the list, it was like, okay, here's plenty to choose from. There, I started with the mainstream, coins that I knew about because some of these little projects pop up and they're good for 3 or 4 months and then they tank, and you're like, well, I don't want to have any of my funds in that. But I did go through initially and look at the coins that they supported, and there was at that point on it was a different it was KuCoin, which now US residents can't use at all. But they supported about 32 or 34 coins. And so I went through those to see which ones were the most volatile, that went up and down, because it's that volatility that we need to make more money on, because it's going up and down more. Um, but the point is there should be plenty of coins, to trade. But if there's a certain coin that you're like, you're just in love with this coin, well, then maybe, you buy that coin and just hold it, but it may not be the best coin to trade type of thing. But for like what I did with XRP, Solana, and Bitcoin, like I said, I want to hold those long term. So even though I may not get as many trades and make as much money per week, as they move against each other and I make a little money, then that's great. Because what happens is I end up with more Bitcoin. So now I have, that whatever I profited in Bitcoin, now I have more Bitcoin in my Kraken account. And when it makes another trade, then I have a little more Bitcoin. And so at the end of the month or the year, whatever, I'm going to have more Bitcoin in my account. And to me, that's a good thing, as opposed to having more USDT, dollars. I want, Bitcoin, not dollars at this point. Okay, so Sin, did that answer your questions on these packages or anything else related
Yeah,
to this
I
one?
do have an additional question. We're at a
Sure.
high level because this is basically my first exposure to this. All right, so the pairs. Your goal for you specifically is to get more Bitcoin. So you already have spot Bitcoin in your Kraken account. Is that
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And
So
then your pair that you're choosing, do you have that spot as well, or is that something you want to get?
no, no. So great question. And then this just yeah, to understand that. So the way all of these bots work is you start with that like base coin, like Bitcoin in this example, and then the bot buys the other coin. That's its first activity. So you hit click start bot, it goes out and just buys one little position. So you don't have to buy all of those. So literally, if your account just has Bitcoin in it and you set up 5 different bots for 5 different pairs, then as soon as you start the bot, it's going to buy that first position in Solana, XRP, Cardano, or whatever, you're trading.
So you won't actually own those other pairs. You'll just stick with the Bitcoin in this example.
Well, you own them while they're trading.
Right.
They're
But
in your account, and I want to just keep emphasizing that, because you're not giving your money to somebody else, you're not transferring it, it's in your account, and it's just this little bot is working for you to trade. So if I look at my um this is my portfolio, and yeah, this is where I messed up another dollar. So but I've got, what do I have? Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of Bitcoin. So it's probably not going to trade anymore for me. I did have Solana when I started, and I had XRP when I started, because like I said, I want to hold those coins. But if all I had was Bitcoin, then it would buy those other positions as it was working.
okay,
Does that make sense?
thank you.
Sure. Sure. And so what's going to happen the next time it goes to buy, because my balance is so low, it's the bot's going to it won't buy anymore. Um, which is bad. And again, this is only happening um because I don't have the minimum balance that it wants me to have, because I kind of just tricked it, so to speak. And so the way these guys work is for that fee that you pay on each winning trade, it deducts that from your wallet in your EazyBot account. It doesn't take it out of the profits. And the way I have it set up is that, yeah, so, it thought my initial capital was 0.04, and then my current capital is 0.04003742, and that 3742 is the profit I made on that first trade. So the nice thing with this is it snowballs your capital. So as you win, then you have more to trade, and then you have another trade, and then you have more to trade with next time. And then it'll keep trading more and more and more over time. But to pay that little fee, it comes out of your wallet that's in here. So I'm going to show you that. And this is a wallet of just USDT. So I had to send funds to this wallet in EazyBot. Now, if I want, so I've got $29 in there right now, and if I hit withdraw, I could, withdraw that type of thing. So this one right here is a service fee from that trade that I did. So it's 30, basically 35 cents that got taken out yesterday, kind of thing. So that's how that works. But it's nice that it doesn't come out of your, out of your profit. So your trading balance, will keep growing. Okay. So that's EazyBot, and it's like I said, it's easy. Some people will say, well, let me show you one other area that I just avoid. But they say, can I go in and can I change things and tweak it and all that? And it's like you can join it or go in there and make these little tweaks, but I look at it, it's called EazyBot for a reason. You don't have to do all this kind of stuff, but you can go in here and say, okay, if it pulls back this, do this or do this, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, just let it do it. It's easy, you know, keep the auto compounding on. That's the part where it takes the profit and adds it to your balance to trade with. But you can go through all this if you're really into that or whatever, but I I kind of I just go with the easy part of it and go from there. So that is that one. And let's look at our list here. And hopefully you guys can let me put this link into the chat. You guys can, this was in the the event page. You can go to this Google Doc and see the links here. What we do is try to put all the links in one spot and anything we talk about, as opposed to everybody having to try to write it down or copy it out of chat or something like this, because this will be up forever. You can go and check it out tomorrow, next week, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's talk about this one, Bitsgap. Yeah, here we go. So this is a trading bot that works the same way as far as it connects to your exchange account and trades on your behalf. This one, I don't have my account. I started off using this one, but this is one where you go in and you pick your pair, and let's just say, we're trading Solana against the US dollar, and it's at $100, just for discussion. And so you would tell it that you want to trade within a range, so maybe between 95 and $105. So $5 below the current price, $5 above the current price. And let's see. Um, so then you tell it how many little, they call them grid spaces, but how many little segments between there that you want to trade. You want to trade like at $99.50 and then $99 and then $98.50, like little 50-cent steps, Or do you want to do like a dollar step, like, don't trade till it's 99 or don't trade till it's 98, that kind of thing. And then as the price goes back and forth within that range, it'll just buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell. The problem is if it goes out of that range, then it'll stop, and then the bot stops and you're like, well, what do you want to do? And you kind of have to babysit it, so to speak. So that's why I like EazyBot, where it just kind of does all that thinking for us. But if you're somebody that wants to get under the hood and do a little more tweaking and that kind of thing, Bitsgap might be something that you're interested in trying out. And they've got a free oh yeah, 7 days free. And let's see what they talk about here. So for $22 a month, you get 3 active grid bots. So that's what I was talking about, where it just trades within that range. The dollar cost averaging bots, I'm not familiar with those. Okay. Da, 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 da. Yeah, you can get into, oh, it's got an AI assistant. They didn't have that when I was using it. Um, it also has where they talk about this manual trading. It kind of has a cool feature where it not using a bot, but manually, if you could use it to trade, normally, like if I want to trade something in Kraken and I want to buy, at a limit price of $90 for that Solana, for example, I would just put in, limit price $90. I want to buy 10 coins or whatever. And then when it gets there, it buys it, and then I'm holding it and that kind of thing. You can also put that kind of order in to Bitsgap that's connected to your Kraken account. And it would do the same thing. When it gets to $90, it would buy. But then you can tell Bitsgap, okay, if it goes up 10%, then I want to sell 20% of my position. If it goes up another 20%, I want to sell 30% of my position or whatever. I'm just making these numbers up. You can put in and whatever you want. So I thought that was kind of cool because it was like a kind of like a manual trading bot where it does it for you. You don't have to follow it and go in and do it each time. You can set up the price to buy it, and then you set up basically your exit strategy kind of thing. So that was kind of another cool little thing. And maybe actually they think that might be what they refer to as their smart orders. Um, but anyway, they've got the more advanced, you get more bots, um, futures. Well, holy cow, there's all kinds of stuff here. Um, yeah, this is really getting crazy. So that's Bitsgap, and they connect to quite a few. They talk about it. Exchanges. Yeah, let's see which exchanges. I think currently um, EazyBot works with probably 5, 6, 7 exchanges. They're actually based in Dubai, and so they're gonna support some exchanges that we can't even use, here. But here it talks about, yeah, these different exchanges that they work with and how many coin pairs they have. So Binance has always been the big boy. This is Binance.com that's supported the most. Here in the US, we only get 238, it's just kind of not a whole lot. Oh, Coinbase, holy cow. Coinbase, dang, that's a lot. Now, when I started with Coinbase, they supported 4 coins. It was Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Ethereum. That was it. Okay, so Kraken's not bad. They've got, yeah, almost 1,000. So anyway, they support all these exchanges. Maybe you can use some of these, maybe you can't because they're out of the US and they don't like us US citizens. Um, okay. Any questions on this one on the Bitsgap? Okay. Again, this is just a different way to do the trading bots. What else we got on our list here? The Cryptohopper. Okay, this is an interesting one. Okay. So they claim it's the most customizable trading bot, blah, 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 and that's maybe true, that kind of thing. But the thing that's interesting to me here is what I talked about briefly is the copy trading. So you can go to their marketplace and go through all of these these are actually people that offer uh, you the ability to copy their trades for a monthly fee. So for this guy, he's called the Conqueror, or I think that's his strategy. Yeah, Napoleon strategy. So for $29 a month, you can copy his strategy. He currently has 642 people doing that. Looks like these are the editor's picks. So let's click in here and see what um, what his strategy consists of. A combination indicators that filter out fake signals in the current sideways bearish market, blah, 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 blah. So you basically can go in here, um, look at their strategy. If it's something you believe in, and then you're like, hey, yeah, that I think that's a strategy I want to do. Then you can sign up and, copy trade from this guy. Um, and let's see, hidden configuration refundable. I thought somewhere they would show the like the percentage gain for the last. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So if you ever hear back testing is where you can take this trade or strategy and then look back at um, the last month, the last 3 months, and see, how successful it would have been if you were using this strategy. So when you see the word back test, that's what they're talking about. And that Bitsgap um, allowed you to do that, which was interesting. So even though you were setting up your own strategy, you could click the back test button and it would tell you, okay, this strategy based on the last 7 days, you would have earned, 4%, and over 30 days, you would have earned 7% or whatever. So that's kind of an interesting tool. Um, so on this coin pair, between these dates, this is what you would have earned or whatever. So you can go and, look at all these. Go back to this strategy, but this is where there's just, a ton of these. Um, let's see, we only want to look at the free ones. Oh yeah, so here's some guys doing it. He's got 200 or yeah, 2,520 people following him for free doing their trading. Um, yeah. Here's some reviews. Oh, he's only got three and they're 5-star, but these are all they're all pretty old. Um, so anyway, you can get lost in going through all these, but how this works is you'd get the Cryptohopper trading bot. And then you've got, again, these different levels depending how many. Um, now these guys, okay. Oh, this is by how many open positions per exchange. So maybe instead of just charging you by the number of bots, it's the open position. So maybe you could have, like 5 bots, but only 4 open positions per each one, to get to the 20. And then at that point, it would say, sorry, you got to upgrade if you want to trade more. So that could kind of get dangerous in the sense that if it stopped trading when you wanted it to trade, that might be bad. But anyway, you can go through here and see which plan suits you. But I always share this one because they offer this copy trading feature. So if you don't want to come up with your own strategy or go in and tweak, you can just follow somebody and you pay them and it links their strategy to your bot and it just trades when they trade. Kind of thing. So to do that, you're paying twice because you're paying once for the Cryptohopper bot, and then you're also paying for the marketplace trader there. Any questions on this or thoughts or ideas? Michael, how much time would you spend going through all these people, finding somebody to follow and copy their trades?
Well, one of the first things that I look for is what have they done recently? Like the guy that you showed had 3 5 stars, but they were 3 years ago, 2022.
Right.
So when you're searching these guys, you want to find people who obviously are making money. And then two, how long ago were they actually online, and um, when were their last trades, right? So those are important aspects that you want to look for. Um, that's a different way of doing it, definitely. Hopping on somebody's back who is doing these different trades. So that's how I approach it.
Yeah. Yeah. It to me this is a little more research, kind of thing. So, and at least here he gives, okay, these are the top 10 weekly signals for this guy. Um, so yeah, this looks like it's a little more hit and miss, where like EazyBot just kind of is actively trading, I mean, generally if the market isn't moving much, then there's not a reason to buy and sell, but depending where you're at. It's always fun when I see it trade a bunch and the market goes down and I'm like, okay, I've got like 6 or 7 open positions and I'm like, okay, as soon as the market comes back up, boom, 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 and I get a big, a big profit afternoon or something like that. Um,
So, so if you're trading, how much, like whether you have $100, $1,000, or $10,000 to invest, how does the system know how much to trade for you? Or is it
um,
listening?
yeah, well, like with EasyBot, if we go into this settings thing, come on. It seems like the internet's getting slower and slower. So, settings. Okay. So what it does is the first one, it's going to buy, yeah, based on the zero point zero 0.04 amount, then it's going to buy zero point zero 0.01 or zero point zero zero 0.001 the first few times. And then if it gets down to here, the fourth one's going to buy this much. So it's only buying fractions of what your balance is. And that's the other thing is if say you have $100,000 of Bitcoin in your account, you can tell it only trade $10,000, and that's all it's going to trade and that type of thing. You don't just because all that money's in your account doesn't mean it has to be traded. So this goes down and it's potentially going to have 56 different trades that it's going to do before it stops. So, if you slice up $100 into 56, that's a little bit less than $2 a trade. So it's only trading a little bit at a time. Does that make sense?
And that would be for anyone regardless of their balance.
Uh, as far as the way EasyBot works, yes. So if you had $100 in your trading, it'd be a little less than $2 per trade. If you had 100,000, what would that number be? A little less than $2,000 per trade type of thing. But it's not gonna, if you had $100, it's not gonna trade $57 in one trade type of thing. So it means that it's safe, but the downside is it's only trading fractions of your balance. So if you've got $100 in there, it's only using $2 it uses $2 and then another $2, another $2. And it's so at in that situation, you only have $6 at work for you. So even if those trades are like 5% gainers, which would be great, that's only 5% on $6, not on $100. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like if you have an annual fee and you're paying extra for other things, like, and you're only making pennies here and there, is there like a,
Right. Yeah. So yeah, because that fee is the same regardless of your balance. So whether you're trading $1,000 or 100,000, you're still paying the $90 a year or whatever, that kind of thing. Now the fees, so you're paying that little software fee to EasyBot, and you're also paying trading fees to the exchange. because they charge to trade regardless of if it's a bot, a manual trade, or that kind of thing. So there's that part of it too. But they're always percentages. So I remember when I first had Charles Schwab, you know, back in the late 80s, and it would be like $9 a trade plus a percentage over 100 shares or something like that. Well, I never had enough to worry about that percentage. It was always $9, and so it's $9 to buy IBM stock and then $9 to sell IBM stock, that kind of thing. So it was almost like a minimum, but with crypto, it's pretty much just a percentage of the trade. But yeah, no, that's something to think about is all these little fees and does it add up? Now, what I did is once I saw how uh, the EazyBot worked and just, I don't know, over a couple weeks, it would do that, it would buy once and it would buy maybe two or three more times, so I'd get down to like this level four or cover four or whatever they call it, type of thing. And then usually by then the next move, it would sell at least one of those. So it would buy like four or five times and then it would sell. And then maybe it would buy two more times and it would sell, you know, two positions or three or something like that. So it never, I never got down to like, you know, even level 16 kind of thing. So what I did is when I was trading against USDT, the minimum was $400 to trade. So once I saw how it worked, is I wanted all of that $400 to be working for me. But unfortunately, it was only doing, a little bit at a time. So what I did is even though I had $400, I told the bot that I had $1,200, which meant each time it traded, the whatever percent, that was in actuality, that was three times that percent of my funds. Does that make sense? I see you're unmuted, Michael.
Yes, it does.
Okay, okay. Now, I did get into trouble a couple times where the market went down and then I ran out of funds. Where normally, if I would have done it right, there would have been more funds to trade. But I was trying to get more. I guess I got a little greedy, so to speak, and I, was trying to get it to trade more each time, kind of thing. So then I got, you know, um, I suffered because I ran out of funds and the market was down there. So a couple times I added more funds and then it kept trading or whatever. But that was once I saw how little of my funds were being used, I wanted to, more of my funds to be used. Because if I was allocating $1,000, I want all $1,000, to be working for me, not only $200 type of thing. So that's something to think about too. Um, okay, so where are we at on? Okay, High and X. This is the one I just happened to set up an account a couple weeks ago because I wanted to buy this the PI coin, and I got started with this project. They had like mining on your iPhone or iPad, and I'd started it, and it was just like, okay, what's this crazy thing? Well, all of a sudden it came out, and the price went nuts. Um, yeah, so they only launched, guess was it March? Yeah, no, February. Yeah, February. So anyway, I went to try to buy more, and then I'm like, wait a minute, this is that exchange that Chris was talking about with bots, excuse me, built into the exchange. So instead of having to go to Bitsgap or EazyBot to get a bot, they have a bot built in here. So you can just go to trade instead of spot trading, which is what we normally do. You go to trading bot and you can pick your pair and say, okay, I want to trade Pi versus USDT. And then there's all these different strategies that you can just copy. So here's one that says PI grid AI strategy 180 days, and they're saying your APY average percentage yield is 150%. So I could hit copy trade there, and then it's saying that to do that, the minimum you need to do that is $2,600. Um, yeah, so I don't know if I can. Oh, yeah. So here's kind of these grids we were talking about earlier on Bitsgap. You would say, okay, I want to trade between 5.6 cents and 4.7 or $4.74, which is a huge parameter because right now the coin is 61 cents. So obviously this is huge. And then the number of grids is 200. So what determines, each little spot, each like grid line is where it executes a trade. And so here it's talking profit per grid with the fee deducted, the trading fee. So if I adjust this to 100, yeah. So it's interesting playing with these because you would think that having more grids, and having more trades going on would make you more money. But it actually, the peak here is 40%. If I go down to 100, the peak is potentially 82%. So I always find that kind of interesting. And if I say, no, I only want to trade between 50 cents and 75 cents. Um, oh, so it's saying, yeah, this is way too many grids for that. So if I only, do like 8 grids, then potentially I can make, between 4 and 6%. So this is kind of what you do for a grid trading bot. You set up these parameters and go from there. Now I told it that I wanted to, um, modify them. If we go back to the smart
What's a
parameters,
grid?
a grid, think of it as a line on the chart. So like right now, um, this is at 61 cents. So a grid line would be like, here at 47 cents and 36 cents. And so what you're doing is you're saying, like, if you choose, let's see, you really show it. Bitsgap is good because it shows you on the graph what um what your parameters would look like. So I've literally never done this before on this one, so I'm seeing if it will show.
Is it predetermined by the bot?
Well, when they come off and you just pick one, like I said, copy this strategy, and I went to the parameters and manually edit parameters, then it's showing me, yeah, there's 200 grids between 5.7 cents and $4.74. And so that basically means there's going to, between those, the lower limit and the upper limit, there's going to be 200 lines
Hmm.
between those values, and then anytime it crosses the line, it's going to do a trade. Now, if the price is going down, uh, say goes down, say there's a grid at 58 cents. When it hits 58 cents, and if it hasn't bought at 58 cents before or yet, then it'll buy one. And then if it goes down to 56 and there's a grid there, then it'll buy at 56. And then it gets down to 50 cents. And then on the way up, then it would sell at 56 and sell at 58.
Got it.
Yeah. But it always seemed that the more grid lines you had, the more opportunities for trades. Because if you did it between like 50 cents and $1 and you only did like 5 grids, what is that? Like every 10 cents. So like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and a dollar, you know. But if you did every 5 cents, you would be doing more trading because if there's a smaller move that only went up to like 86 cents, you'd get a trade. Where if you didn't have a grid until 90 cents and it went to 86, you wouldn't buy. You know, you'd miss out on that trade, so to speak. But the grids are just like, think of them as lines. Like if I, move this thing up and down, it's like, okay, there's a grid at 47 cents. And they're equally, spaced out kind of thing. So that's how that works. Um, yeah, but this is I mean, this strategy was for 180 days. Like they're saying, okay, we're going to set this up so it's going to run for 6 months. And so that's why there's huge gaps, between the high and the low. Now let's look at this one for 7 days. And oh, so okay, this one says for this one you only need $177. Let's look at the parameters. And so it's only between 30 cents and 87 cents. But there's 83 grids, which still is a ton of grids. But usually the less grids you do, then the lower amount of money that you need to put in because there's less spots. Okay, so this one, because I only have like $87 in my account. So I could say it just needs to be over $55.56. So I could start this bot with $60 and start this grid trading, based on this. Cool, I may do this later. I don't want to do it right now because, well, heck, we could do it. Let's see. Um, we since to 10 or 20. 10. It's weird. The lower the amount, then the higher percentage. Okay, so I've got. Well, I guess let me shoot. Which do I? I'm not even sure what I have in my balance. Wallet. Oh, $68. Okay. So let me do this. Let me start this with $50. 10 grids between here because it's what it's telling me, and create not enough balance. I thought it. Well, okay. Doesn't it say minimum greater than 24? So if you put in 50, that's greater than 24. Um, do I have see, I have open, because if you have any open orders, oh, yeah, I already have. Okay. I did buy some. I put in manual orders and they went through. So all of that money is not in cash. It's in high already. Okay. Anyway, okay. I may have to go in and try this and just do this later. Anyway, that's how it works. To set those up yourself. The nice thing is if you have an exchange that has the bots function built in, you don't have to configure and connect to an exchange account and that kind of thing. So that makes that really nice. Yeah. Um, any questions on that? And setting those up, I'm glad we could customize that because this is more time than I'd spent with it before, unfortunately. Does anybody have an account with these guys? Pionex? It seems appropriate to buy Pi from Pionex. I don't think there's any connection there, but um, yeah. Okay, let's see what else is on our list. Pionex, Bitsgap. I think we've covered all of those. Are there any other trading bot kind of? I mean, there's way more than these four. Have you guys run across any other ones that you want to talk about or you've seen and like, hey, what's going on type of thing? Okay. We
Have you
got,
heard of Go Baby Trade?
I have not. Let's take a look at that. Is it like Go Baby? Well,
Yeah. I'm I just had somebody talk to me about it, but I'm not
it
really sure.
it does sound vaguely familiar. Let's see, Go Baby Train. Um, AI driven to manage your crypto trades. Yeah, everybody seems to be like climbing on this AI thing. Um, who knows? It's like to me the proof is in the pudding. So like when I started with um EazyBot, I'm like, okay, let me throw $100 at this thing and just see what happens. I kind of faked that I had $300 and I really had $100. And after like a week, I had made like $6. And I'm like, well, yeah, $6, whoopee. But it's like that was like 6% in a week. And I thought that was pretty good. So if you see some of these and you can just try them for a short time or free without committing, you know, $500 to it, you know, give it a shot. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you know, jump out and move on. But because you're not, sending your funds to these people, you don't have to worry about that part of it. What about what about their pricing? Buy now. Oh, geez. Yeah, this is a little bit pricey. So, I mean, if you got 100,000, $500,000 to work with, yeah, maybe $4,500 isn't a whole lot, but I would rather put this money to work in the trade than spending
Yeah.
it on
I
on
had
here.
no idea it was that expensive.
Yeah, so maximum account value. Yeah, so I, I mean, I don't have this much money to put into a subscription, even though it's, $1,500 a year for 3 years. Um, but if you've got 100 grand and they're making you 10% a month, then this fee is chump change, kind of thing. So, okay, let's go back and see when we search for Go Baby Trade, if what other results we got. Um, no, she doesn't get a whole lot. Sometimes there'll be ads for, somebody else, that kind of thing. Let's say, crypto trading bots. Grasshopper came up first. That's, they've been around for a while. Oh, this three commas. I've heard this one's come up before. We got crypto trading bots reviewed. Um, trading bots. Okay, so they've got okay, so like the signal bots is where they get a signal when something happens, then it buys, as opposed to like this grid bot where it just you set that range and as it goes up and down, it just buys. Um, and I'm not sure how the dollar cost averaging ones use. Let's see what their plans are. Uh, okay, so here we can do yeah, for free. You can do 3 active smart trades, one bot, one of each of these bots. Okay, this isn't bad. So yeah, this would definitely be something to try uh, and do, for free. I mean, if you can try it for free and you're not committing to whatever, um, and then even let it run. Like with the EazyBot one, I've never gone on moved away from the free one. Now they don't have this free one anymore. It's 100. Basically, what I have is $100 a year, but you get five instead of two. Um, but I wasn't trading that many different coins, so that was okay. But yeah, that would be an interesting one to try. Especially you only get one of each of the different bots, so you could kind of let them run and see how they work against each other. Let's see. Oh, here's a review of different ones. Yeah, and see, like the Pionex ones, this is just like KuCoin, where they want to encourage you to trade because they make money on the trades. So they can almost give you the bot for free because they're going to be making money on the trades, kind of thing. But it is super easy to do that all in one spot as opposed to configure. It's not a big deal to configure it, but it makes it easy when it's there. Okay, there's crypto trade Santa. Haven't heard of that one. You guys heard of any of these other ones? Oh yeah, premium AI bots. Oh, this is the old pricing, it looks like. Um, Coin rule. Let's see. You say this is best for beginners. Follow smart investors. Yeah, you can do a couple things for free. So maybe, yeah, maybe you do. Yeah, there's a few different ones to try. I don't know what a live rule is versus a demo is, kind of a practice one, I would guess.
Do you think a signal bot is something that happens like newsworthy or
Yeah, and Michael is probably better to explain these signals because he's more of an active trader than I am as far as, you know, not bots. Michael, can you give us a good definition or two of signals?
Well, signals are usually something that is TA related, which is technical analysis, that, based upon history, things that happen in the past are likely to happen in the future. And so signals give you, a buy signal, a sell signal, and it's it's a way of knowing when to get in and out of the market or when to just sit tight. So, I mean, it seems pretty basic, and it really is. But in crypto, it's a lot more complicated than, at least in my estimation, than it is in stocks. Because in stocks, you have income, you have sales, you have things that people are doing, whereas Bitcoin is basically um, an animal all in and of itself. So this you get to a particular point, and maybe like right now, the stock market is very oversold. And so that could be considered a signal to buy that there would be a bounce because it's so oversold. And there are certain indicators that will come up. The VIX is one of them, VIX, and that will say, hey, we've come down too far too fast, or other types of things, such as there's a strength indicator. If it gets too low, it is a signal that it's oversold. So signals are basically used to give you an indication of what's happening underlying the market.
thank you for that explanation. That to me sounds better than a grid bot. And then the
Yes.
DCA bot would be dollar cost averaging every, like, is it periodically and you set the time or?
Well, if you're DCAing, dollar cost averaging, I mean, that depends upon the opportunities that you have. Like right now in the stock market, there's a lot of opportunity for DCA, right? Now, Bitcoin has kind of held its own during this last month and especially these last few days. I mean, it's gone down a little bit, but uh, if you know anything about Bitcoin, DCA always seems to work. and I hate to use the word always, but if you just look at the history of Bitcoin, if you dollar cost average down, Bitcoin has I don't know, Brad, would you say a near 100% probability that you DCA, you're going to be in the green at some point in the future, few
But
weeks, few months.
how does the bot work with the DCA bot?
I'm not 100% familiar with that. Most of I like to be hands-on. Um, so although this is something that am moving into a little bit, but uh, uh, my thoughts would be that the same principles that a trader would visually see or would get signals on, the bots are getting the same thing because these are all essentially technical types of things. It all boils down to numbers, and the bots see the numbers where we're at a particular point in time, and it goes, now's the time to buy. Or you can also have overbought, that the market is rocketed up so much and it just says ding ding ding, hey, this is a place to sell because based upon these algorithms, right? And it'll see it and it'll go, okay, I'm going to sell. And then when it gets oversold, it says, okay, I'm going to buy. Does that make sense?
Right.
So, what a human would see, a bot sees it a lot faster, understands it. There's no emotion involved where there is with humans.
Yeah, whatever we can do to get the emotion out of it is definitely good for trading because that kills the trading. Too
Yes,
tight
like
up.
right now, the stock market has massive, and I mean all capital letters of massive emotion involved in it. And it's way, way overreacting, in my opinion.
Yeah, so that's short term, the bots might be pretty good if there's, some days it's, up, some days it's down, just crazy. Um, and then it settles down. So yeah,
But I will
interesting.
say that's the nice thing about bots is that they will make decisions pro and con on your behalf without you even having to watch it or to be stressed by it or to be even involved in it. And sometimes that can be a very effective and profitable uh, trading tool.
Right. And literally just, the time it would take you to go enter a trade, maybe you get up and what you see something news and you go, okay, let me, enter a trade. And then at lunch you're checking, oh, let me sell or, just the time to go back and forth to trade it. Like I can have software doing this for me. It's like a good thing. Um, yeah. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Let's go. We had a few other folks join us at the beginning, John. And we got Mr. iPhone. You guys have any questions or thoughts or ideas, strategies to make us more money every day?
I'm kind of new to this, so this was really great. Thank you so much. It's very informative for sure.
Good, good. Did it bring up any questions or like, hey, what about this or what about that type of thing?
Um, so for the trading bots, basically the pro overall is that it can trade on more than just one platform at once, and that's why it's better than most of the platforms because I think some of the platforms allow you to put in pre-trades and stuff like that.
I mean, pre-trades like putting in like a limit order?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, this is kind of beyond that where the bots, the idea is you can put in the strategy or parameters like we were doing on the Pionex ones over here, but I wouldn't use the term preload because it's like you're setting up it's like you're telling your kid, you're going to go to school today and this is what you're going to do, and be good, cross at the crosswalk, don't cross in the middle of the street, finish your lunch and all this kind of stuff. And then they're just going to go do it. I mean, that may not be the best analogy, but you're not, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, sure. Anybody else? Would say Art? I don't think we've heard from you. Yeah, and let me know where you guys are on your crypto journey too. If you're, a new beginner overall, or you've been doing this for a little bit, or always interesting to see where we're coming. It seems like we're getting more and more beginners the last few months. When the price of Bitcoin goes up, we hear from more folks. Yeah, go ahead, Art.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, just want to say thanks for sharing this information. I'm new to cryptocurrencies. I did make about $5,000 on Pepe a few months ago, so that made me believe, hey, there's really money to be made in this industry. Um, and I'm definitely interested in getting a bot that can do a lot of these transactions for me. That EazyBot, something I'm going to do further research on because it sounds promising.
Okay, and I'll put a link up to it. It's to join there. On the Pepe, how did you make that? Um, it was just like you bought it, 1 month and 6 months later you sold it, or were you actively trading it during a run
Um,
up or something? Or
I bought it. I put like $2,000 in, and then literally like about 2 weeks later, it just shot up. Just keep shooting up, shooting up, shooting up, and then I cashed it out.
okay, so
That's
kind
all.
of the buy and hold strategy, but you
Yeah,
didn't hold it for a super long time.
right, exactly.
Okay, okay, good. Those are with crypto. It's like if we hold it long enough, we usually do okay. So let's see. Did this was trying to put in a link here to EasyBot for more info, and then if you want to, there we go. And I'll put that in the Google Doc here too. Okay, good. Anybody else, especially if you got good strategies or tips for us?
And this does not involve leverage at all, does it?
I don't think I've seen a bot use leverage, no, because their thing is they're actively trading, and so they're not. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could actively trade, but hmm, I guess you could. I mean, but I've never seen one where that gets into it. Yeah, no, but that's a good question.
There are places where you can leverage, uh, but not typically on these bots, but there are
Right,
exchanges where you can
right.
actually leverage. However, you have to be very careful. It's like futures trading, um, because that leverage can wipe out a five or ten or $20,000 position very quickly. Because if you have a 5-to-1 leverage on 20 grand, you're controlling $100,000. And if you have more than a 20% move or more than a $20,000 move, you're going to get wiped out and you could go even in the hole past beyond your initial investment. So that's why these bots are relatively safe in that manner. I do not believe that they leverage at all.
Yeah, and the fact that they're um trading just a little piece at a time. I mean, there was one, like the first trading bot I got involved with, it literally traded your whole amount. Like, so if you said I want to trade $500, it would buy one position at $500 and then wait to sell. And if, and that you're like, well, if it goes up, great. But if it goes down, you're like, well, I'm stuck. And if it would go down and it thought that it was going to go down further, then it would go down at like 4.8, if it was say $100 and it went down to 90 and it thought it was going to go further down, it would sell at 90. So you'd have that $10 loss. But when you're using these bots that are just trading fractions at a time, it makes more sense to me because you're not putting that whole amount on the line. You're just, trying to get a little bit. Like this somewhere on this first trade, I forget where I saw it, but it was like a 3.7% profit. Uh, anyway, but it was only 3.7 on that one little chunk. So it's a little bit safer that you're not, you know, blowing your whole wad on one trade and then hoping it comes back, kind of thing. So cool. Okay, any final thoughts, questions before we close it up? All right, we do have our next in-person meeting for those of you that are in the Fresno Clovis area. It's like the week after Easter. We're kind of always trying to straddle and avoid holidays and that kind of thing. So I hope to see you guys out there at me and Ed's. And then we'll get our next Zoom meeting up for the beginning of May, and we will go from there. So thank you for joining us. Feel free to check out this um, Google Doc, and that'll be up there. You can always, you know, go back there to check it out. And if you have any comments, feel free to leave those on the event page, and I'll have a link to the recording of this session on that later tonight, if you want to go back and review. So with that, have a great rest of your day, and hope to see you at a future meeting here soon. Take care.